All right. Welcome, Syrvivor Syracuse community. I'm not sure how many of you are in here yet, but welcome to the season 3, episode 2 post show. It is me, Andrew Clark. I am back, even though I told you I wouldn't be back this week. I am back, filling in for Luke once again. And today I am joined with two great guests. We have Heidi from Survivor Yukon season 2 and our very own Jake Niebuhr from season 1 and producer of season 3. I think you're credited as a producer, right, Jake?
Something like that. I don't know what I am. I was somehow involved.
He was involved. He's a huge part of the program. So welcome, both of you guys. Obviously, another crazy episode where a lot of things happened. Let's start with the challenge. We had the Price is Right challenge. What initial thoughts on the Price is Right challenge?
It was very goofy. Just kept cracking up. Luke had a lot of jokes. Body obviously fell behind very quickly. I think Soul ran away with it early on. Was it?
I think Mind had it and then Soul caught up.
Mind caught up. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, my final tally is Soul 8, Mind 6, and Body 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I thought it was amusing. I loved the music. I loved the background. It was very professional. The editing quality is great this season.
Yeah, I think in the real time, I just remember cracking up over Luke's little things, and I forgot all about his stupid intros for everything. Obviously, the items all came from Mel's quarantine dorm, so it's just goofy, and it's kind of a challenge we had to throw together at the last second because we were on Zoom. But I think it ended up working out really, really well. Obviously, it wasn't super exciting because Body kind of just fell behind and was never able to really be back in it. But I thought it was really edited fun. And I mean, I wrote down some of the things Luke said. He said the one, I don't remember what the deodorant was called, but it had 3 names. And he was like, Mind, Body, Soul, more like whatever the 3 things in the deodorant was, which is just so silly and dumb. But I thought it was really fun. And I mentioned in the chat, Luke randomly stopping down the game to ask the contestants how the game was going was also really funny, because that's not something that happens on The Price is Right. But, it's fun.
I think my favorite one was when he introduced the headphones and he was like, "Oh, sorry, is my audio working?" And it wasn't well acted at all, but it tripped me up. I was like, his audio sounds fine. And then he's like, "Check out these headphones." I was like, damn it. How did I fall for that?
I think his best hosting moments are when he gets really excited about a dumb role he gets to play in a challenge, and he just was so excited to be the host for that, and he was holding up the pen as a microphone the whole time, which was killing me because I didn't realize until halfway through he was not holding an actual microphone. It was just a Sharpie pen, and it was great. He
was very giddy. It was very funny.
I feel like I should just do this for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, we have to talk like this for the rest of the time.
Talk like this for the rest of the episode. We'll do it while we talk about the Price is Right challenge. But obviously, Body fell behind early, was not able to catch up. How much of that do you think was skill-based, or was it just sheer dumb looks? I think Luke brought it up during Tribal. He said that Jason got 2 feminine products that he had no idea what the prices were.
As the female representative here, I don't think I knew it either, to be fair. It's I don't know. Price is Right is hard, but they definitely got a little bit unlucky in some categories like that too. I mean, I don't represent all women, obviously, so it's possible that the girls on their tribe actually knew the answer.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say that it's completely skill-based because it's just, I mean, you're either good at Price is Right or you're not. And I think it's really interesting, and I'm sure we'll circle back to it, but that Gabby was targeted because she was seen as a challenge liability when the challenge this was so much of a crapshoot, and it was kind of just you guess and hopefully you're kind of close. And I don't think any of the guesses were completely outrageous except for the refrigerator, which I want to talk about. I don't know how they thought that refrigerator was $65. I don't know if they've ever bought anything like that before. But it's, it's just kind of a crapshoot, and Body fell behind, was never able to catch back up.
It might have just been a fear of going over. Mm-hmm. I mean, you still got to get close though. You can't. it felt at some points they were playing a little bit overly cautious with some of their prices. But
so I guess kind of still on the topic of the challenge, but this was being only the second episode. We've already had our first almost entirely Zoom episode. How do you, compared to episode 1 where I was all in person, and the season 2 and before we got sent home, and season 1, how did that compare when you guys are watching? Or like, oh, this is weird, they're all just sitting at home behind computer screens? Or was it, I mean, I don't even know how to word it. Like, what was your reaction to seeing everything being on Zoom?
I think that like Gabby definitely hurt from having that kind of format, because I think a lot of the dynamics were really set after the first challenge, because it's hard to compare like making friends virtually into like the moment when your tribe's all together in person, you're getting the chance to talk to all these different people. And it's also why I thought it was interesting that Luke at the start was just like asking people in the other tribes, like, what do you think that Jen's now gone? Because like they don't really know Jen. They met her for 2 seconds when everyone's got masks on, and like that was the very beginning of a semester with COVID, so we didn't know how to deal with anything at the time. And I think it's just, I thought the challenge was fun to watch, but I think if I was in the situation where I was playing like that, it'd be difficult, because you can't really, even when you lose a challenge, you can't be like, oh, well, let's all hang out or something afterwards, because like you can stay on a Zoom call, but is anybody really going to do that? Probably not.
yeah, again, the editing was really good for the challenge. I thought. Like, I thought like them being on Zoom worked out, because like they had their own panels. It very much felt like a game show in that sense, where like they all had cameras on them. But yeah, it being over Zoom and like as far as making connections goes, like it's a trade-off. I mean, when you're in person, you have to wear the mask, and I think some people are very reliable on reading facial expressions, but when you're in person, I think you get a little bit more body language. So I think it's also a little bit of what you're better at perceiving. And also just over Zoom, I think sometimes it can feel a little bit less genuine, even though it's not necessarily the case. I think it's just a lot easier to mask any awkwardness or any like susness. And I think that inherently makes people feel more sussed out by you.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Heidi's now complimented the editing twice, so I'd like to shout out to YouTube commenter Moose Detective, who said that our audio needs to be fixed, or is that something along those lines, that he was very upset with our audio quality. That's for you. Hopefully, it was better this time.
I think it was.
We hear the people. We hear the people.
We were very concerned about that in the editing chat this week. That it was it's the challenge a lot of the time when there's 21 people and everyone's wearing masks. I think that was what they were commenting on, because it's very hard to hear people, and we tried to make it easier, but we'll see.
It's hard. Sometimes people just mumble. Like I saw that comment. I think that was probably the biggest thing, people mumbling. But again, when everyone's getting used to things, you feel a little bit awkward. I feel like even you players be a little more confident on camera. I know when I played my first season, that was a huge thing. Just getting more comfortable being in front of a camera pointed at you and knowing that you're being recorded. So that always gets better with time.
Yeah, definitely. But let's start. Actually, before we move on, any other thoughts on the challenge before we start to talk about what happened after that?
No, I don't think so.
No? All right. Well, then let's talk about the Body Tribe after losing that challenge. Flip my notes here. I'm looking on the wrong team. First person we see is Owen. And Owen's talking about this quad alliance, which is made up of Owen, Joe, Holly, and Mike. And they're the ones who kind of start, at least appear to be the ones that kind of are on this let's just vote Gabby out train. Meanwhile, Mike is also in an alliance with Jason and Madison, who at the end, right before Tribal, in that vlog with the three of them, said they want to bring in Owen. So what do you guys think about Mike's position right now? Seems like he's in the middle of potentially four people alliances.
It's interesting. Mike, I think Holly brings this up. There's like almost, it's not like quite solidified. Also an alliance of Mike, Holly, and Gabby. I think where Maddie is being like actually considered for a boot. It's possible that was just Holly blowing smoke up Gabby's ass. I wasn't quite sure, but Mike's found himself in quite a bit. And I think when you have returnees, it's very hit or miss. I think you see that in College Survivor as well as like the actual show. Either people are like super like, yeah, like let's loop in the returnees, like that's fun, or they're like, get them out of here. And Mike's found a lot of success, I think, in finding himself in these multiple alliances. I don't want to get too much into like the choice he makes for the boot quite yet, because I think we're there, but I think he's navigating them both pretty well. I think it'll be tricky if when they decide to loop in Owen, if they're able to successfully make him feel comfortable without it being like weird that they were a 3 before they introduced Owen. And I think Mike, who is a part of an alliance with Owen already, will have to have a heavy hand in making sure that transition happens, depending on where he wants to go with it.
Yeah, I think Mike's in a very interesting spot. I think easily he had the best episode in my opinion, just in terms of he's got relationships with everybody. I mean, he's just a very likable guy and everybody kind of wants to work with him. But he's also in a tough position because now he has to, like, if Body loses again, he's going to have to decide, like, he's going to have to screw over somebody who he's working with. So does he want to, I know they mentioned Holly as a threat this episode. Is he going to want to pull Owen into that side when I don't know if it's in Owen's best interest right now, because he'd be coming into this alliance as number 4 when Holly seems to trust him a good deal. So I think Mike's in a good position, but I don't know if it's necessarily like an enviable position, because if the tribe loses again, he's going to have to make a tough decision and have to piss some people off. But if the tribe doesn't lose again and he's on a swap tribe, I think he's going to have a lot of places that he can go with these original Body people.
That's the key. I think if they lose again, he is going to run into quite a bit of trouble, because he is either going to alienate, if he decides to vote out Maddie or Jason, he's alienating the other that stays, or if he flips on that 4 alliance, he's alienating more people as well as probably also pissing off Owen, who was in that original 4 and is being brought to the other group at a 4th and not necessarily a 2 or 3. But if they don't go to tribal, he's set up very well. He's going to be very well protected by whoever he ends up with in a swap situation.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
absolutely.
the hype. Oh, Jake, please go. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying absolutely. Sorry.
All right, well then, let's, in the hypothetical sense, let's assume they lose next week, in week 3 or episode 3, whatever you want to call it. What do you think Mike should do? Which side, or should he stay with, or should he try to find some sort of compromise? What do you think would be the best plan of action if the Body Tribe is to lose again next week?
If it were me, I personally would be looking at Jason or Maddie as my target. I for a tribe of 7, I don't quite understand the point of making an alliance of 3 when that's not a majority. I mean, they're at 6 now, so they technically make up half, but I think that's an early misstep. Like, yeah, you feel good with those people, but in my opinion, Mike's already set in like this group of 4. And again, like pulling Owen in could be really tricky, and it would, I think, be a lot easier, in my opinion, to just be like, sorry, Jason, sorry, Maddie. Like, there was a group that had a majority that pulled me in first. And then I think you potentially piss off less people, unless he can create some kind of hostility between Owen with Holly and Joe. But I think I personally would flip on Jason and Maddie, which sucks, because I think I'm enjoying them a bit more than the other alliance at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a tough position. I think his best bet is to try to get some sort of group unity, and I don't know how possible that is. I don't know how necessarily close Madison and Jason would be. But they need to have some sort of cohesive group. So I don't know necessarily if these alliances are going to continue to hold as like time goes on. But I don't know if side versus side is going to benefit him at all, because he's in both sides. And like, that's an easy way that people can just, look at each other and be like, well, this guy's agreeable to everybody. He's obviously lying to all of us. Let's get rid of him. I think his best bet is to sit back, hopefully find some way that like there could be a crack. So I don't know if they're like, hey, let's vote Jason out. If like Madison is willing to do that, he should jump on that. But if people in the other alliance, like Holly and Owen, are like, oh, I don't know if I trust Joe, for example, I'm just saying names, that could also be smart. So I think he needs to look for cracks within these groups to try to form some sort of like, I don't know, just like he needs consensus, I think. I think like trying to play both sides is just going to catch up to him on these small tribes. And I think having a consensus when you have to assume the tribes are going to swap soon because the tribes are so small is probably his best bet and probably the avenue I'd go down. But if that's not possible, I don't know. I think I agree with Heidi. I think I probably would go with the bigger group just because on the small tribe, that's the best you can do.
Yeah, I definitely agree, though, if there's cracks, if those early game alliances are ready to turn on each other this quick, I think that's ideal because he still gets to wipe his hands clean. He still gets to be good with, like if Maddie is like, oh, we can get rid of Jason, then he can vote out Jason, and then he still has his group of 4, and he still hasn't alienated Maddie yet. And then if they go again, he just sticks with the group of 4, and it's fine. And then if they swap, everyone's still good with him. That's ideal. In theory, though, if Maddie and Jason and Joe, Holly, and Owen do like more talking and they find out that Mike is in both, the next like united front could be against Mike, which is also a scary position. It's always scary when your game kind of revolves on people not connecting the dots. And if they connect the dots, they can decide, oh, so our returnee is double dipping in abundances, so let's just get rid of him. Like he's obviously a snake, which is feasible as well.
All right, now we didn't get to talk about the vote yet and what happened with Gabby, but because she has to go to dinner soon, Gabby is here. She's now in the stream. Gabby, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We just want to ask you a couple questions. I'll start with mine. Heidi and Jake, if you have anything else to add, please feel free to do so. First of all, just walk me through that week, and what was going on, who you were talking to, and how things ended up.
Well, one of the things with Body Tribe early on is that we really, and I think that this was a fault of ours, is that we really never hung out as a group at the very beginning. And I was trying to facilitate that and get that organized. I was texting people. I was like, hey, like, let's hang out at my house. Like, let's all get to know each other, whatever. Because I know that I'm very good in that type of a social setting. So I was trying to arrange that. But, that didn't happen. And, I obviously had my very strong and very well-supported suspicions about the idol. So I was kind of, I don't know. I kind of thought I could like do some fun shit early on, and it just didn't work. And I was talking to, most of the tribe. I didn't reach out to everybody, which was probably also a mistake. But I think it's important to remember that I literally was told I was playing Survivor like days before it started, and I had never seen Survivor before in my life. So I immediately watched like 5 seasons of Survivor in a week and was like, I'm good. I got this. Like, that's all I needed to do. And, I didn't have it, and I didn't got it, and I needed to do more. So.
Well, cool. You went in knowing more than me on a less time period. As I've said many times before, I knew I was playing months before we started filming, and I still didn't watch any Survivor going into it. So I still went in completely blind. So props to you for really showing that dedication. It seemed like from a lot of the vlogs that a lot of your vote was based on the performance from the first challenge, because obviously everyone kind of saw the second challenge as something that was kind of like luck
in the entire world. Because why vote me out?
Huh?
Is my Wi-Fi fucking up right now?
Yes.
You cut out for a little bit, but you might be back. Are you back? I think you're back.
I'm in the forest. Is my Wi-Fi like? I know it fucked up, right?
I think you're back
You're
now.
back
I think
now.
you're back.
You're
now.
back.
You're back now.
Okay, but I was gonna say I think that's the dumbest shit ever to vote somebody off based on performance in a challenge that's never gonna happen again. So also it was hot as fuck, guys. Like it was 90 degrees. I am not a super athletic person. The reason why I'm on the body tribe is because the person I was replacing was on the body tribe, not really because I was like best suited for the body tribe.
And you do rugby.
Yeah, you don't have to be in shape to do rugby. You got to be big and you got to fall on people.
Use your body.
Okay, yeah, but none of that means Amazing Race style scavenger hunt in 90 degrees with a mask on, you know?
That's fair. We didn't cast a lot of people for just specifically do the Amazing Race, though, I don't think.
I know, and that's why I should have eliminated just specifically for the performance in the Amazing Race challenge. A challenge that was we didn't even lose. We didn't lose. And
you were going to dance or something, and I was like, I don't know what you're doing. So, like, I think it's stupid that they voted you out for that reason. But I guess my question is, were you screwed right after that? Or, like, if looking back all this time later, like, what do you wish you did differently, I guess? Because obviously you were in trouble right after that point, but, like, you know, it's body tribe, so it's tough that they're like challenge, but like,
yeah.
Could you have done something?
I'll be honest, like immediately after, I was definitely like, oh fuck. Like I was that annoying bitch who was like, guys, can we walk this part? Like it's really hot. And you know, I wasn't feeling great about that, but I was like, damn, we won. That's awesome. Next week, clean slate. Doesn't work like that apparently. So yeah, I don't know. It was a hard challenge. It was dumb that I don't know. It was just I have a lot of animosity for Body Tribe, obviously. So,
but I guess after
stupid.
The challenge, like, do you think there's something that you could have done to get out of the spot you were in, even if you like performed the way you did in the challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. So I always saw I felt like I was going to be a much stronger social player, obviously, than a challenge player or anything else. So, that's like kind of why I was really trying to get people to like hang out. Like I know it was very hard because of COVID and everything, but it wasn't really a COVID thing. It was like a scheduling thing, which was the reason why people didn't want to hang out. But yeah, I just really wish we could have gotten everybody in like a setting so people actually got to know me in like a conversational way instead of just like texting me. So I don't know. I think I could have definitely. I didn't know what I was doing, really. Like, I didn't know, like, I was like, oh, really? You got to call all these assholes? Like, got to talk to nerds on the phone for hours and hours and hours? Really? So, yeah, I didn't really have the right perception of what I needed to do when I walked in because I didn't really know shit about Survivor. So, does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think being online and having to do Zoom in that second week is really what kind of ended up screwing you over, and even though that was out of your control. Because I know, like, when I played, I had Jack, known super fan, Eli, lesser known but still a super fan. Like, I had them, and I would go and see them in person all the time, and they would explain everything to me, how this is going to work, why this will work, blah, blah, blah. And when you're online, unless you're gonna like get on like a FaceTime or a Zoom call for a couple hours, it's still hard to like grasp what all that means because it's such a complex game, especially the college version of Survivor, because it's so much more, at least in my opinion, I feel like it's so much more social game based than it is like challenge based strength based. There we go.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think the Body Tribe just had like a kind of whack perception of what constitutes team strength, and also like that whole like me being so convinced about Madison thing. Obviously I was being a fucking idiot. Like that was dumb. I know that was dumb, but it's like if there's some clueless asshole who's just being an idiot, like that's a person that you could very easily beat later on. So I don't know why you would vote out your one clueless asshole instead of somebody who's like a little bit stronger, more of a threat. But
I
that's
have,
what they did. So.
I have a question as well. So you've said you're not a fan of the Body Tribe, which is understandable. Was there anyone in particular that you felt most betrayed by?
I mean, I didn't really feel that betrayed by anybody because it does kind of make sense. Although, like, their way of thinking, I disagree with. Like, if you follow their way of thinking, it makes sense why it happened. Holly kind of pissed me off that week because she and I were like really talking a lot, and I really liked her and like really wanted to be like friends with her and stuff. And she was just like lying to my face. And then I also totally knew that like the writing was on the wall because I was texting her like all day that day and she didn't respond to a single thing. So I was like, okay. Should have done better, Holly. If you're watching, fuck you.
Let's see. Jake, do you have anything else? I think I just had one more question. I forgot, so I'm going to think about it in a second. But
yeah, I guess.
if you have anything else to add, please do.
I have a little bit more
thing.
time. Dinner's not. It's okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask those final words. Obviously, you went out swinging. They were hilarious. I thought it was. I mean, how much did you mean that, and how much you still stand by them? Because it was a fantastic exit.
I meant it 100%, and I stand by it 100%. Like it just feels okay. The first votes feel exceedingly personal because you don't know shit about that person, and it's just like, who am I most okay with seeing leave? And it's like, yeah, I don't give a shit about her, so like that's okay. Let's vote her out. That's why it felt personal. And like some people texted me after that and they were like, I promise it wasn't personal. And I was like, shut the fuck up. It was. Like, I doubled down. It was bad. But yeah, no, I meant it 100%. Like, obviously these people like in outside of the game, like I know them and I love them and I'm, I've hung out with them. But inside the game, they're fucking dirty whores, and I wish them all nothing but worse.
Well, you answered my first question, which was, have you had the chance to mend any of these Body Tribe relationships? It seems like you have with at least some of them. But my other one was...
Yeah. Wait, sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
Answer the first one.
Even though I'm going to keep doing it.
If you had anything left.
Well, I was going to say, with Madison specifically, Madison told me that, like, when we were first starting out, she, like, clocked me as, like, not really liking her. And that was true. When I first met Madison, I did not like her. But now Madison and I are super tight. And she's great. And shout out Madison, but Madison, you were on the money. Good perception, girl.
Why didn't you like her? What'd she do?
I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. It's something. I don't know. I guess it was like.
Sometimes it's bad vibes.
Well, I'm really. I don't know if you've been able to notice or anything, but like I jumped to conclusions rather quickly, and so that's what happened. I didn't give her a shot, but it's fine now.
All right. Well, I guess not second half. My other question was, if not you,
wait,
who do you think? Okay? Huh? Oh, we lost connection with you again?
Are you talking? Am I frozen again? Am I frozen again?
We can hear you.
All right.
Guys.
Wait, hold on. Can you hear us now?
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
we can hear you. Can you hear us?
It's that I feel like I'm trapped in the box. Yes.
We can hear you.
All right, I think it looks like you're back. I think at least everything is, your camera's moving. You're not frozen. I think we're good. I'll ask you one more question and then I'll let you go. If not, if you can hear me, hopefully. I hope you can.
Wait, no, I want to say more.
Okay, then you can stay on. You can stay on. I'm sorry. You can stay on. Let me just ask this question.
She texted me, it's lagging a fuck ton.
Gabby, can you hear us now or are you still frozen?
I don't think she can.
Oh, we might have lost Gabby.
She's texting
No,
me.
I think she's back. I think she's back.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, there you go. We can hear
sound
you.
Perfect. You sound perfect.
See, now it looks like she's just texting Jake and not answering.
I don't know.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Do you
Yes.
guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
this is fine. Jesus, because you guys were responding to shit I said like 2 minutes ago. I was like, keep up. But what was the question?
Okay, I was just gonna ask.
Nothing was asked yet.
If it wasn't gonna be you going home in this vote, who should it have been? Who do you think it should have been?
I mean, obviously, I wanted it to be Madison. And I thought Madison was a strong player, so I think it would have been a smart decision for us to get out Madison. But also, like, Holly is sick at the game. Like, she knows a shit ton about Survivor. She's a total super fan. Like, I feel like if we were trying to get out threats early, which is what I kind of wanted to do, we should have gone with somebody like Holly or Madison. Because if I was the body try, like if I was everybody else, I would not have perceived me as a threat, considering how I was acting. So,
Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense. I mean, those are all the questions that I had. If Heidi or Jake, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask. Gabby, if you had anything else you just wanted to say, go right ahead. If you got shit you got to get off your chest. This is a safe space. There's the 3 of us and 6 people watching right now. So if there's ever been a time to yell to the world, now is the time to do so.
oh Jesus, don't give me that opportunity. I would just like to say, I don't know, I'm a huge reality TV stan, and I'm very glad I was able to have my little meltdown moment. That's you know, that's a badge I'll wear with honor forever. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope I didn't look like too much of a dumb bitch, because I am hopefully really smart, some would say. But I understand. If you hated me, that's fine. Probably hate you too. It's okay.
I don't know.
Gabby, I don't think anyone hates you. You were great. You had some great vlogs from the first two episodes. You worked your ass off. You did your best. It's just sometimes it's just not meant to be. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for playing. It was awesome watching you. It was awesome getting to know you after the fact. I'm sure you'll be back on one of these post shows to break something down again in the future.
I just want to let everyone know, like, if like now you can just like stop watching the season because it's just so just log off.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. We have 4 million subscribers. I said 4 million.
4 million.
400 subscribers today. That's a milestone.
4 million people
4 million?
watching this.
4 million people watching you leave, Gabby.
Oh my god.
Honestly, if that's the audience, I'll be center stage. I mean, watch it if you want. It's just not gonna be fun anymore. It's okay.
All right, you gotta
We'll
get her out of
fun.
here before she takes down the rest of the season. Thank you, Gabby. You were awesome.
Gabby.
And if I missed Meatball Night for this, I'm coming for y'all. You're all in trouble. You're all in trouble.
Thank you, Gabby.
How do I leave? Okay.
I kicked her out. She's gone.
That was the best post interview we've ever done.
Well, that was basically Gabby in a nutshell. I loved having her. She was great. She's taken a queen, really taken too soon. But with that, I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about tribal or the other tribes next?
I mean, we can
Let you
finish
guys
with body,
pick.
I guess. I have a couple more things
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, all right, let's go back. Let's go back to body. I mean, I don't even remember. My mind is totally wiped after that.
I
That
just
was
want to
just-
say, I think she levied a couple of really good points about why she would have been a good person to keep. She said a couple of things that I thought were actually pretty interesting. I always felt that the early votes were the least personal. I in my opinion, like the early votes are like you just kind of find something to stick to and you go with it. And I find the end game to be not that personal. At that point, it's just maneuvering across like a chessboard, trying to get to the end with someone you can beat. It's kind of like that middle chunk that I feel like sometimes can feel very personal. But she said this early boot felt very personal, and I think she provided a lot of insight as to why. I mean, I didn't watch any Survivor prior to the first time I played, but like I didn't do any research. I did like some. I like read through the wiki articles. I didn't watch 5 seasons by any means. And you could tell she was very excited and willing to be a part of this club. And I've never thought of it as being like, I feel like early boots are typically people that are not that invested, so they just don't click with their tribe well. So it's interesting that she really wanted to, and she was reaching out to people, and she invested a lot of energy into learning the game. I wouldn't have thought of it as being personal, but I could see from her perspective why that was incredibly personal. Like, why didn't you want to get to know me? Why didn't you want me to be a part of this experience? So I thought that was really interesting. And her point about why not tag along? I don't want to call her a dumb bitch, but it's her own words. I don't think she's a dumb bitch, but the dumb bitch who doesn't know what she's doing, that's also a valid point. That's in theory, that could be someone that's very easy to control, as opposed to these other players that are very strongly trying to analyze the dynamics and make these alliances and being in multiple alliances with different people and stuff like that. So I think she brought up a lot of good points, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really interesting hearing her talk about like thinking the beginning of the game is personal. I definitely get where she's coming from. I think it's tough, and I think it's the great thing about this season is I don't feel like there's a lot of people who are just like kind of along for the ride, and it's something I noticed when we were filming the season. Like more than any other season we did, these people were here to play from the get-go. Like the Mayan tribal last week was crazy. Like the body people were all very into it. All the soul people are very into it. I'm sure we'll get to all the Becca, Adam, Jemiah stuff. I think it's tough because like they didn't have a lot of time to get to know her, so it felt like, you know, it's personal based on first impressions, and it was just based on the challenge. And like you don't get to be a part of the whole journey. Like you don't get to be a part of the jury, and like I feel like groups a lot of the time form deeper in the season because you're kind of bonded over like the shared trauma of going through all these rounds together. Yeah, exactly. It's traumatic. And yeah, I think she definitely felt left out of it. And it seems like she cares a lot about reality TV. And I know from knowing her, she has watched a lot of Survivor after she got eliminated. So it's tough. In terms of being a good person to carry with you, I think it's really hard at like the first round to like be like, this is the person I want to bring to the end because she doesn't know the game. Because there's just so much like game left to play. If you get the vibe from her that she's super loyal, I think she's someone to carry around. But it seemed like besides Holly, I don't know. I don't really feel like she had that close connection on the body tribe, and that's kind of why she was screwed over. I think if people felt like they could bring her along, it would have been in their interest to do so, but I don't really know who felt that way. So unfortunately, I think it kind of, you know, there were a lot of groups and she was just kind of the odd person out. So she was the easy elimination. And I think a lot of the time, the easy elimination at the beginning is the correct one.
Yeah, and I agree. She definitely seemed like she was kind of on the outs, and whether or not that was because of what happened in the first challenge, whether or not that she was the right person to be voted out at that spot, from what we saw in the episode, I didn't really agree with Body Tribe's reasoning, because it seemed like all of their reasoning was that Gabby's back in the chat.
Yeah, she said funky shakes.
Here's a little fun fact behind the scenes for the people. Gabby was just like in the studio of StreamYard for about 5 minutes after I took her off the live stream, and she was just doing like an ASOS like haul like reveal. It was very funny. But it seemed like whether or not she had whether or not she had the connections, it seemed like the reason she was voted out was because of what happened during that first challenge. And if that was the main reason that she got voted out, I don't like that really. Because one, that was a very hard challenge. That's probably one of the hardest challenges that we've done up to this point. Even through like we have finished filming season 5, and that still is one of top 2, if not the most hardest challenges that we've done, just because of how hot it was and how you had to go everywhere. So, and I mean, I said it during the interview. I think the fact that we had to go to Zoom for this week really screwed her over.
Yeah,
I think she wasn't really able to. She's very personable, loves to talk with people, and she didn't get to really show that off because obviously I think we had a COVID case or something. I don't even remember anymore, but
yeah, well, I don't know how much we're supposed to get into it, but yeah.
Yeah, I was about to name drop, but we won't do that.
Don't do
that.
Yeah, I feel like it is unfortunate. I do think it was a great move for Mike. It's not. I don't think it's entirely clear in the episode. I'm sure we'll see a little bit more. We saw a lot of names thrown out. I feel like Maddie, Gabby, and Holly were all thrown out as like possible targets, and Mike obviously was there to hear all 3 of them. And I feel like he made the correct choice in going for Gabby, as that was the only person that he wasn't really aligned with. Again, there was the like kind of Mike, Holly, Gabby thing, but I feel like that was never solidified. So again, for Mike, I feel like that was a very good choice, I'd say. For the rest of them, I'm not sure why the quad event. I'm a little bit curious for why the quad got off of Maddie and ultimately ended on Gabby, because it also felt like she made some good pitches about like possible idol concerns and stuff like that. But for Mike in particular, I think that was a good move.
Yeah, I think I want to talk a lot about Madison, and I know that Heidi, just as a note, she likes Madison instead of Maddie. That's just she's
Maddie?
mentioned
Okay.
in the chat. Yeah, Madison. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I thought she had a really good episode too, even though she was like targeted. I think it's really interesting. With Joe, she like sent him a screenshot like showing that like, hey, like she's throwing your name out and using you as a scapegoat. And obviously Joe didn't like that. So like, even though it was a group consensus, like she knew her name was out and she kind of went around making sure that people were voting for Gabby. And then also was so afraid of an idol that she voted for Holly, which I think is a smart move, but a risky move, because like she completely protected herself. I guess hoping that she would have numbers on Holly if somehow Gabby had an idol, which I don't know if she would have. I don't know how that would have broken down, but also like Holly's going to be pissed and Holly's going to want to know who voted for her. And I know that just like based on previous experiences of playing, like you kind of know where everyone votes. So right afterwards, you're just like, hey, who was that random vote for me? Or who was that random vote for Holly? So I'm sure that'll come out. I'm interested to see how Madison deals with that. But I really liked the way she was playing. She obviously seems very, very strategic. I know Gabby mentioned her as a strategic player. So just wanted to give Madison props. I thought she had a good episode too, but she will definitely have some explaining to do with Holly. So hopefully she can figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. I am a Madison fan. She made a couple of moves I don't think I necessarily agreed with, but she is very, you can tell that there's a lot of thought going into it and a lot of skill going into how she's trying to like weave her way through the game. Again, I said it earlier on, people who make minority alliances in their starting tribe, it stresses me out. I'm like, not enough. It happens sometimes. It's happened in so many seasons where like a little group will form, and that's cool. But I'm like, get the big one first. Find yourself a majority first. I was sweating a little bit for Madison there, and I think, I mean, Mike wasn't worried about a vote coming his way, but he did have a moment of very like level-headedness. Like I think it's too early. That clue was vague. She has an idol, and it's very risky. But when you throw an extra vote on someone for the sake of making sure that you don't get idled out, you could run into a lot of issues there. I'm sure Holly will be mad because it seems like she's also very heavily invested in this game. Yeah, I'm interested. I know Madison left a comment in the live stream, like as it was happening. I'm curious if that was a decision that was made in that moment, or if she discussed it with Mike and Jason before she did it, if they're going to have like some backup for her. I'm not positive because it wasn't quite explained yet. I'm sure it will next episode, but
yeah,
that's a gamble. It's not one I personally would have made, but you have to protect yourself. And if she can bounce back from that, then I see Madison going deep personally. There's been like a couple of missteps, but I think the energy and the thought process is there from my perspective.
Very pet. She seems. I know she is. She's a big fan of the game, and I think you definitely coming through in the way she talks about the game, and she's exciting to see play. I've really enjoyed her in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, with all that being said, does anyone have anything else to say about Body Tribe? Just the only thing I'd written down. I feel like any time there's a third name that gets brought up with a tribal vote, that's when you kind of go like, "Ooh, what's happening here?" Because that's what I did when I was watching the episode. It goes, I think it went Gabby, Madison. I'm like, all right, then it's gonna go Gabby, and then Luke just goes Holly, and I was like, excuse me, Holly's name wasn't thrown out all week. It seemed like, so that's just something that stands out to me. But I think we should talk about the Soul Tribe. So a lot of stuff went down in the Soul Tribe after this episode. Shout out Mrs. Levine. She likes your beard, Jake.
I know.
Give her a shout out. I think it's very nice. It's a very nice beard. I wish I could grow something like that. I can't. That's why I keep the stubble. But let's talk about the Soul Tribe after the challenge. First thing we see after the challenge is, I believe, Adam's vlog saying that Becca texted him, Adam, Zach, and Jemiah to hang out for #Bro Night. Let's talk about Bro Night, because how are you gonna have Bro Night without all of the bros in the tribe? What did you guys think of that, and why do you think Becca chose to text the 3 of them and not Ryan, Lindsay, and Cassidy?
I think it's I love Becca, first of all. I just think she's very straightforward with everything, and it kind of cracks me up that she has gone out of her way to do this, and she's just kind of calling things how it is. I don't know. It clearly doesn't seem to be working out great for her. It's possible that she saw Ryan as very connected to Lindsay, and that's kind of maybe why she didn't include him. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know why she made the decision to have Bro Night. I'm sure it was just like a funny thing she said, and it's not based on, having the broiest dudes, because I don't think anyone really on Soul would be the broiest guy, and even in this tribe, I just don't think that's a thing that can exist. But it's interesting. Another thing I noted, just very random, but I think it's funny that everyone calls Ryan Baker, like he's a 2-name guy, and that's kind of how I know him too. But I just noticed every time Luke called him, he called him Ryan Baker. So I'm going to continue to call him Ryan Baker because that's what I know him as. But I love Bro Night. I thought it was hilarious, and Lindsay's reaction to it was fantastic.
Yeah, Soul's a little bit interesting right now because they haven't gone to a tribal yet, but their dynamics are very much evolving with each round. And I think that's good. I think when your tribe starts to win a lot early on in a game, you kind of get a little bit lethargic. You kind of sink into a sense of like, I don't have to do too much right now. I can kind of chill. And Soul is not doing that. They are gearing up. They are working hard. Like, I think someone said they don't like the Soul Tribe. I forget who said that. Someone was like, they're getting cocky. Like, I'm gunning for them.
Owen.
Yeah. Oh, that was Owen. Yeah.
Yes. But with how much the dynamics are changing on the Soul Tribe, like, they might start pissing each other off. It might not be like a united front. Like swap comes if you could run into the issue of overplaying before you need to. That is entirely possible. Like tribal hasn't happened yet, and if you have too many alliances going too quickly, you could go from having like an easy minority to the lines being so blurred that like suddenly anyone could be in trouble. So I'm interesting. I hope Seoul does go to a tribal at some point, just because I think it would be interesting. But I am glad they are not getting complacent with their 2 immunity wins and that they are playing around with things. Also, sorry, Madison, on StreamYard, there's a private chat and then there's comments. I didn't realize anyone was talking. I was like, damn, no comments. I'm reading it now. Sorry again for calling you Maddie, Madison. That's like 40 minutes ago. Like, shit. Yeah.
I just had a point to bring up and I've already forgotten it. All right, after that we saw Jemiah, and it seems like Jemiah wants to work with Becca and Adam. Which means Adam and Jemiah are kind of. I have no idea where I'm going with this. I'm reading my notes, and I had a question, and then I forgot what my question was, and I'm trying to remember it. Let's go back to Bro Night and that group message. Jake, you brought up Lindsay's reaction that she was blatantly backstabbed by Becca. In this Lindsay versus Becca thing is now it's kind of been brewing for the first 2 scenes of this episode. At what point does that start to boil over and you kind of Soul Tribe starts to get messy, basically?
I mean, I definitely think it's already getting messy. I just think Adam going and leaking this alliance to Lindsay is very interesting because I know he mentioned early in the episode, he's like, oh, the people I want to work with are Cassidy and Jemiah. So it's like, why are you telling Lindsay this? And I know in the preview for next episode, we see Adam sitting with like Lindsay and I think Ryan Baker and a couple other people. So I think the dynamics are going to get really messy. I think that's definitely going to boil over. And, it doesn't seem to be a lot of love lost between Lindsay and Becca. So I'm sure we'll see more of that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the chat. I wasn't really paying attention. I was trying to catch up.
Heidi, all I asked was, what do you think about this sort of tension between Lindsay and Becca, and at what point does that start to boil over?
I don't know. I said it before in my last response. It could be nothing, or it could be. As much as I want them to go to tribal, I also want them to not, just to see how a swap plays out. With like possibly like the 2 of them being like stuck together on the same tribe, and if like they would work to overcome like this weird tension that they're building, or if they would throw each other under the bus. I'm not sure what direction that would go in quite yet, but it is interesting to get also this much content from a tribe that isn't going to tribal yet. So I'm willing to bet I'll go into like try not to read too much into the edit, but that's undoubtedly going to be like something big. I'm interested to see how that continues to brew.
So Seoul has won both challenges so far, and as you just said, despite not going to tribal, they're getting a lot of airtime, and clearly there's a lot going on behind the scenes there. I don't want to say at what point, but do you think this sort of dynamic of there's clearly tension in the Soul Tribe, despite that they've won every challenge so far? Will that start to affect them when it comes to their challenges, and they're going to end up at tribal sooner than we think?
I don't know if it'll affect them in challenges, but I don't necessarily think it's such a bad thing to go to like an early tribal council, just so you can kind of get the sense of where people lie. And I think especially with a cast like this that is clearly doing a lot all the time, they need to get the energy out somehow. And I think the longer they go without being in a tribal council, the crazier shit's going to get for them. So like, I think for their own good, they should probably go to tribal council soon, just so they can like put all this energy somewhere. But I don't know if it'll necessarily affect challenges, because the challenges are all pretty quick, but it definitely could affect them. You know, if Lindsay and Beck starts to get more and more mad at each other, maybe they're not going to be able to work together in challenge. So we'll have to see. Double tribal next week.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that might be. I feel like social relationships affecting challenge ability is probably something that shows a little bit more on the actual island, just because you're in such close quarters and you're living with them. I think people are, generally speaking, able to put that aside for the challenges, but you never know. I feel like in college Survivor, sometimes you get people getting like a little bit salty over like sit outs, stuff like that. I think that's where like the friction starts to come in, like not necessarily in the challenge itself, because again, you're only together for like an hour. You're not like living with these people all the time. I don't see it affecting their challenge performance, but I do find it fun that the Soul Tribe is winning those challenges, when you would think that with mind and body being like physical and like mental challenges, they're finding the most success. So I also find that ironic, but also fun.
Yes, that is very true. Let's see, what else happened in the Soul Tribe this week that we're missing?
It's about that, right?
And that's most stuff I had written down.
Yeah, I think that was all.
Then I think we can. Mind, I think, was pretty quiet. It seems like Sabrina still on the outs. But apparently she is talking. She says that she talked with Carl, Molly, and Lydia. So that leads me to really wonder how strong that Fab Five is that Colin talked about, which was him, Kevin, Lydia, Carl, and Molly. Any thoughts on Mind Tribe and what their potential next steps will be?
Yeah, I thought the conversation between Carl and Molly specifically was very interesting. And I know that it kind of showed the cracks, because they were like, there's pros and cons to getting rid of any of these three people. And they named Sabrina, obviously, as the person from last week. And then they said that Colin's kind of doing a lot. It sounds like he's making multiple alliances. I know he made the Fab Five, apparently, but I don't know what other. They mentioned some four. I don't really know what that is. And then they also mentioned Lydia as just being someone who they like a lot, but is also just like an intimidating player. So I think it's interesting. Obviously, they're coming off a tribal, so they're kind of probably trying to take it easy. But I really liked the conversation that Carl and Molly were having. And Molly LePesca is one of my best friends, so always going to ride for her. So let's go, Molly LePesca.
Yeah, I really liked Carl and Molly's conversation. I thought it was very insightful, especially because they seem so comfortable with each other that their like camera presence, I think, was pretty good, just because they were kind of joking around and like having fun while also playing around with all this. I hope they don't put themselves in a bit of an echo chamber with them being so much tighter than it seems with the rest of the tribe. Again, with their conversation, everything seemed to be out on the table. And sometimes in the game, when you connect with someone so early on, I think you can sometimes neglect your other relationships and just focus on that one and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. But I don't see that being an issue for them anytime soon. I think they have a good read on the situation, and I think they're going to be able to play off of each other well enough to find success on their tribe and make decisions together. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think Sabrina should be trying to do? Because obviously there are cracks within that Fab Five. Who do you think that she should be reaching out to? What do you think should be her? What would be her best steps in order to get out of this position where it seems like if they lose again, she could be on the outs for the second week in a row?
I think she just like it seems like people like want to work with her, but she's just being a little quiet. So I think it's just like kind of the like getting yourself into the game, and it's definitely difficult early on, just trying to like figure out how these people are and like how much you're expected to do. But I think if she like people seem to like her, and I think last week obviously Lydia was the one who largely saved her. So I think definitely relying on that relationship and then just continuing to reach out to people, continuing to talk to people, because they're the minds. They talked last week about how they overthink a lot. So I think just, get in people's heads, tell them how you can be useful. And I think these people will definitely have cracks and they could definitely implode. Because it definitely seems like it's not a sure thing at all that it would be her going.
Yeah, I think you should be talking to everyone always. It takes more than one person to flip it off of you. Obviously, Lydia had quite a bit of control in flipping a unanimous vote, but it was Lydia, right? Not
yeah,
Lydia and Carl. Yeah, yes. You need more than one person to go to bat for you if there is only one person on the bottom. And with the elimination last round, Sabrina, I think, would be that one person on the bottom. And if that's the case, you need multiple people willing to stick up for you, not just one, because it's going to be a lot harder to flip the vote away from her if there's no other obvious targets. So obviously continuing to strengthen that relationship with Lydia, but never let up on your conversations with other people, because you need multiple people to go to bat for you if there is an alliance of 5 that's like whatever. So yeah, I think socialize. If you can get people to give you crumbs to dig your nails in further and create even bigger divides, that's even better. And I think that's a really common mistake early on in the game. When you have someone who's kind of on the bottom that socializes a lot with you, I think you're a lot more prone to throwing them a bone just sometimes out of pity, like you feel bad. Like, I like this person, like it's nothing personal. Again, sometimes it does feel personal as I learned today. But yeah, just I think stops the I think she just needs to keep working on those social bonds, and eventually someone will throw her a bone and she'll be able to stir up drama, or people will just end up liking her more and building a relationship with her more than with each other, and then she's not going to be the easy clear boot anymore. Or we swap and she's just like, fuck all of you, and goes and links up with other people. It's also in the cards.
You just got to get to that point.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have been going for about an hour now, so I want to start to wrap things up, and I'm going to introduce a new segment that I thought of the other day, and it is called the Episode Awards. So what I just have a couple different categories. I just want to hear what you guys think. Which player in the game had the best episode tonight?
I think it has to be Mike. I just think he's well connected on the tribe. The vote went the way he wanted it to. He obviously is going to have his work cut out for him in terms of people not putting that together. But just in terms of this episode, I don't think anyone had a better night than Mike. So I'm going to go with Mike.
I think I'm going to go with Madison. Body Tribe really delivered. I thought Mike, Holly, and Madison all actually had very strong episodes, but I feel like Madison, she a lot. Mike is in a variation, but we discussed it could go a lot of different ways with him. Madison, despite from what I think are like small, slight missteps, I think she has a lot of room to move. And if they go to tribal again and she survives, I don't think anyone's gonna be mad at her like they are with Mike. At least like it'll be much clearer sides. Like they were going to come for her, so no one's gonna be like, how dare you with her. So I think I'd give it to Madison.
All right, both great answers. Let's go with your just favorite moment of the episode.
I mean, does the exit interview we just have count?
Of course.
That was the best.
Gabby's exit was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to pick that. I mean, it was the title of the episode. What was it? I take that very personally. One of the iconic moments of this series, definitely so far. After this episode, who do you think is in the best position to win this game right now? And it's still very early. We still have
It is.
19 people in this game, but as
I-
of the 19 of them,
I don't think I should answer because I know who wins, so I'll let Heidi answer.
all right, fair enough.
It's hard to say anything for the Mine Tribe because they weren't very cool this round.
Mm-hmm.
I lied. I'm actually going to say Molly LaPesca because she's my friend. That's the only reason.
I'm gonna say Madison again.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel good about Madison. I see myself in Madison a lot. I'm not quite sure what it is. She's a super fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not similar in that way at all because I didn't know anything. But like watching her confessionals, I don't know. She just the way that she like thinks through things and talks herself through things. It just I don't know. I connect with it. I feel good about Madison.
Awesome. And then we'll do one last one, and then we'll say goodbye. Unfortunately, I'm pretty tired. I don't know about you guys. I had a long day today. Should their tribe go to tribal council, who do you think is the most in danger of going home?
Which
Body.
tribe?
Which tribe?
They have like, I mean, any tribe. Like if that's I word this very weirdly. Should their tribe, meaning like anyone, but we'll pick one from each. How about that? Who's the most in danger of going home on body, most in danger of going home in mind, most in danger of going home in soul?
I think body's the hardest. I think obviously just based on relationships at the beginning, it seems like Becca and Sabrina are in trouble on their tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And then body, I don't know. Madison, maybe? I don't know. No, but I also don't think Jason. I'll say Jason.
That's true. We didn't get a lot of Jason airtime tonight. We only really saw him when he was doing the vlog with Mike and Sabrina.
Yeah, I agree with who did you say? Sabrina and Becca. I agree with those two choices. I think Madison or Jason would be in more trouble. Again, Madison I think has a little bit more savvy and just in general a little bit more airtime. I think if Mike chooses to go against them, I think Jason would be more in trouble. He just, I don't know, because Madison was the person that they like alternatively considered going towards, but I don't know. If Madison and Mike are really close, then it's possible that he gets on Jason instead of her. I don't know. It'll come down to Mike on that tribe, I think, unless they unite against him. But yeah. I'm also going to say Jason, I think.
Yeah. All right. I think with that, that is a good place to leave it. Thank you, Jake and Heidi, for spending this last hour and 10 minutes with me talking about Survivor Mind, Body, Soul, Episode 2. Also, shout out to Gabby for taking the time to join us next week. On Meatball Night. Exactly. That's best night of the week, in my opinion. Next week, who knows if I'll be here? I don't even know. I guess you'll find out at some point. I don't know if Luke will be back or if it'll be me again, but we will have some more great hosts. Make sure you guys check out Heidi on Survivor Yukon Season 2. Google or YouTube it. Not that hard. Definitely go watch that. And with that being said, I will see you all maybe next week. Well, someone will be here next week. May or may not be me. You tune in to find out. Or check the socials. You guys know what to do. Thank you, everyone who's in the comments, and have a great weekend and a great Thursday night.